So he like pushes me on the bed, lifts up my legs, and just starts eating my pussy. So when he was done, I sucked his cock and like I deep throated it. Like I sucked really hard, kind of like jerking his dick into my mouth, and, like beating the side of my face with the dick. Like it was all wet with my spit, so I let it kind of like slide up the side of my face so that some of the wet spit would get on my face. I really think I could have made him come just by sucking his dick, but I wanted it in my pussy. So, and then once he put his dick in my pussy, he's like, holy shit. I mean, this guy was like blown away, and he's in porn by my pussy. He said he just loved the way it felt and how I moved my pussy when I was on top of him. And I do this like maneuver where there's a spot on my pussy where if I move it a certain way, the head of the penis, while it's still in my pussy, it just kind of like has this like feeling like it's popping in and out, and you can just like feel whatever bone or groove on my pussy that's just like playing with the head, just slamming into my pussy like really fast. It's not how I would orgasm, but it felt so good, making me come. You can feel his dick kind of like moving and pulsating. So I'm at 18 orgasms since he came home. I think we fucked 15 times. The sex with him this weekend has been mind-blowing. Literally the best sex I've ever had in my fucking life.
That was amazing. This was all-encompassing of emotion, inspiration. You checked every box.
I'm gobsmacked. I'm speechless. I loved it.
This was like mesmerizing, and I think you deserve to be here more than anyone.
All I can tell you is that anyone who says they don't believe in magic, hello? I mean, come on. Everything about this was perfection, and my mind is slightly blown right now.
I'm going to just start it because I loved it. Yes.
It was super special. It's a definite yes.
I can't wait to see more of you. Yes.
I think you know what's coming. You have 4 yeses.
Coming up.
I thought it was a ridiculously good audition.
How about that?
I have to tell you, I was listening. I'm like, damn, that's pretty good.
Pretty fucking good. Right. That's one of our guys, BonJovial. Thank you so much, Bon, for doing that for us. And hi, Katelyn. Welcome to the show.
Hello. How
I'm
are
happy
you?
to have you here. I'm a little concerned about your voice. What's going on there?
Well, we went to Secrets in Kissimmee. Well, we were in Miami for a week and a half and then ended it at Secrets. And we were home for like 3 days. And then our friend's like, hey, we got another room at Secrets. You want to come? Huh? All right, sure. Why not? It's only like an hour and a half. So it's been a lot of talking and and between the show and talking and partying at Secrets, my voice is it's here and
literally sound like the kid who just got home from like summer and flowers. Like you're just destroyed. So all right. I told Katelyn before we got on air, just so you all know, to not pay attention to the chat because I do want to start with that, and I want to talk to you about some of the people on my forum and some of the things that go on your show, and I just want to yell at you a little bit. Okay. And I want to yell at you because I want to say, why the fuck do you pay attention to anything that any of these people say? Like, I'm not even joking. Like, why do you take it to heart? Why do you pay attention to them? Why do you kind of sort of retaliate? Like, why even bother giving them any quarter whatsoever?
It's a great question. And basically because I've been in commercial real estate for like 13 years. I didn't do this. Like, I mean, I was on the Howard Stern show a couple times, but you saw it. I mean, yeah, he asks you stuff and you just answer it. It's not like you're talking the whole time. I wasn't used to dealing with it. In fact, I didn't look at my social media. I really concentrated on my commercial real estate job, and I was able to go into work and turn off the switch. So admittedly, when we started this, I took a lot of things to heart that I shouldn't have because I just wasn't used to it. I'd never had this much come at me at one time. And more recently, I'm not saying that I've been great, but I'm trying. Like, I'm doing my best to, like, if people are just like fucking around and, like we say, ball busting, I try to just ball bust back and not get too actually upset about it. Now I'm not perfect. It happens, but it's not every day now. I'm really working on it.
Well, I feel like, okay, so I don't really listen to the show only because it's it's kind of like the Howard Stern show to me at this point. I get all my information off of my website, and I had no idea that the Katelyn Large and in Charge forum literally is up to almost 500 pages of people just talking about you. And if I was to just go there and listen to what they say about you, here's what I would know without knowing you. I would think that you are high all the time, which I kind of really, really know that you're not right now, but that you're high and drunk all the time. You burp and fart. You hate on women, and you wear fishnets that have holes in them, and that you do really kind of fucked up shit on Fans Only or OnlyFans or OnlyFans. So there's a lot to kind of unpack with the you, because I don't know you. Sure. And I'm glad you wanted to come on and do this interview with me. So I want to start really right from the beginning. So who are you? Like, how did you, first off, what's your nationality? Because everybody always asks that. And I'm really curious as to what exactly you are.
So I am Italian, French, Native American. They actually traced my I guess back to a tribe. It's not really Native American. I don't know. It's Mohawk from Canada, so I don't know what you call that.
You can't get casino money is basically what we're saying.
No, I don't. I can't. I wish I could, but no. I don't get any of that.
But predominantly, what are you like?
Those are the big ones. It's Sicilian. It's French, Native American.
Sicilian. See, that's why you're so dark. Okay, I get it.
And also, I say cracker in a very loving sense because my dad is literally like English, Wales, Scottish, Irish. So that's my dad's side, and I get everything else from my mom.
Are you originally from Florida?
Yes, I was born and raised in Tampa.
Okay, so how did you wind up meeting Brent? Like, people will tell me that you kind of were like a hanger-on or on the show and are wondering like why you didn't go for like Spice Boy. Was he not an option? Or was it that you like, what was the story there? Because I don't know it.
Okay, so I dated a guy who you don't know the Tampa Bay area, but he was more like, oh, you do? Okay. So he was like in the Land O'Lakes area. So more, like he was a lawn dog. Like he was just more of a good old boy type. And he listened to Bubba Love Sponge all the time. And back then I listened to the MJ morning show, and which they hate each other. So my ex-boyfriend was like, dude, you would love Bubba way more than MJ. You should listen to Bubba. I was like, you're stupid. I'm not doing this. And then finally I was like, screw it. I'm just going to listen just so I can tell him it sucks. And I listened. I was like, actually, I really like it. So I started listening, and I was doing a lot of creative stuff back then. Like I like to buy old shit and just make it look cool and new and fun. So they were having like their annual garage sales to raise money for fallen police officers, widows. And I thought, well, perfect. I can help them and I can get something really cool. But I ended up getting there late. And so I talked to Brent for a while about like history and serial killers, the type of stuff he likes to talk about, and I enjoy as well.
Yeah, but why are we talking to Brent? Like what? Like
because he come into everybody was packing up, and Brent on the air was the person who I really did like to listen to him. I liked actually I really didn't like him at first on the air. Let me be honest. I was like, God, what a fucking tool. And I was more of a fan of Manson when I first listened, and then as I listened more, I was like, okay, well if you get past like him being, I don't know what his persona was on the air, but I was like, oh, I kind of like what Brent has to say. So I just introduced myself and I was like, hey, I was curious about this serial killer. What about this
Online
history?
or like
At that event where I was.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So, after that, back then, every now and then, and still same today, I would do mushrooms. And I was like, fuck, I have these mushrooms. I'm not doing mushrooms by myself. Who would like to do mushrooms with me? It's a true story. I contacted him like on Facebook or something. And I was like, hey, would you or somebody like to do mushrooms with me? I didn't think I was going to get a response back, but I didn't want to walk up to some random person on the street. Looking back at it, though, it's kind of weird that I would like Facebook a random person, even if he was on the air. But anyway, he did. He ended up, I don't know, a couple weeks later doing it with me. And we just became good friends. And we were friends for months. I wasn't planning on anything like this.
Were you still dating like that other guy?
No, I had broken up with him way prior to that. He was a bit, he never laid his hands on me, but he was a bit verbally abusive. And come to find out, he was doing oxys. I didn't know. I'd never done pills, so I didn't know what to look for with somebody on oxy. So I kind of
signs.
Yeah. I just knew that his behavior was getting really erratic and like crazier, and so I basically took our puppy and my good jewelry, and I left. And he literally kicked in my door and stood in front of my car. So that's a whole different story. But
yeah.
Anyways, I dumped his ass. And it had been months since I'd been with him. But we were just friends for a long time. I wasn't expecting anything like that. I didn't want that life. I'd always said, I don't know why, but I remember thinking about like celebrities and stuff. And I'm like, it seems like a lot. Like, I don't really want that life. But we became friends and got close. And then we ended up dating months later.
So you were in commercial real estate. You had a career. You had and you actually took that with you to New York. Yeah.
Correct. Yep. Yes.
Okay. So was it a weird thing to have? So you obviously with Brent before he got the Stern Show gig. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So when you guys moved to New York, was the idea that you would stay in real estate and he would be on the show, or did you have any thoughts that you would potentially be a part of the show once Howard found out that you guys were like swingers?
No. Okay.
Because that's such a lore. Like that's such a thing for Howard, obviously.
Yeah. So actually before we went to New York, we went to LA for a year. So when Brent left Bubba's show, he's the type of person, he has to be working. Like, he freaks out. And I'm the type of person of, we're going to figure it out. Like, let's not rush into anything crazy. We're going to figure it out. We'll figure it out. Well, he contacted Neil Strauss, and Neil Strauss was looking for somebody to work in his office. It's something completely different. It doesn't have to do with books. It doesn't have to do with radio, nothing. It was just like a business. And I actually had to teach Brent. I'm like, listen, it's way different going into an office, like an actual business, than
a 9 to
going
5
into a radio
thing.
show. So I had to like kind of help him out with that a little bit. But when we left Tampa, St. Pete, we moved to LA, I had no idea if Brent was going to be on the air again. And
were you married at the time yet, or no?
No, we didn't. We ended up, we couldn't afford to get married for years after that. But I wasn't sure if he'd be on the air again, and I was okay with that because I got to know him as the person and not like the personality on the show, and I really cared about him. So,
so you did a random move with a guy. How long were you dating him at this point?
1 year. That was
okay.
It,
so you did a random move with this guy who didn't really have a job, but was going to work at some, which I think Neil Strauss is a little bit cultish, but okay. And moved to LA, just pack up and leave.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, that was nuts. I guess I figured worst case scenario, I could always come back.
Always.
And then I think he worked for Neil for like maybe just 2 months before Mary Lou Henner, the people who were doing her show, asked him to work on her show. And then we moved, we were only in LA for a year, and we moved to New York. And when we got to, I never wanted to be on the air. When we were with Bubba, or not we, when Brent was with Bubba, I was like, I don't want to be on the air. I was in studio a couple times, but I wasn't on the air. I just had the headphones on. It wasn't something I wanted to do. You know, I really wanted to be a back end. Like, I wanted to be like a manager type, or do like any type of producing or something on the back end. I didn't want to be in front of the camera. It kind of makes me a little bit nervous, to be honest. It's not really
so
my thing.
So how do you go from that comment to putting a dildo on the shower glass door and taking it in your ass or wherever. I don't even know what part it went into.
It did not go in my ass, but
what
yeah.
trajectory? Like what the fuck is that trajectory like? Like how does that happen?
So there was a lot of years in between that.
There was a lot of in between.
Yeah.
So I'm going to come back.
So,
let me swing
back.
Okay. So before you met Brent, or as you met Brent, or during Brent, were you already into swinging, or was that something that wasn't really an option for you?
This is okay. So I had dated somebody before Brent. It was years before Brent, and he had brought up how he wanted to try swinging.
They all do, by the way. Every single guy I have ever dated my entire fucking life, in the first 6 months, is always like, you know what'd be really fucking awesome? Is if you got together with another girl. How fucking hot would that be? I'm like, for who? For you or for me or for her? Like, who's this hot for?
This guy was straight up like, I want a full swap. So basically, I found out, which is probably obvious to everybody else, but I realized very quickly that it had nothing to do with us like swinging and enjoying it together, or like he didn't give a shit about whether I was enjoying it or anything like that. He just wanted to have sex with like any chick that basically that walks. And I mean,
so you said okay to it when he said, hey, how about we try swinging? And you said okay.
Not immediately. Eventually, like I was young back then and not very secure or confident, and he was a pretty good looking guy. So I figured, like, I can't remember if it was on his computer or his phone or both. But anyways, I found out that he had been messaging people on like those adult websites and stuff, like adult friend finder type stuff. And I'm like, well, maybe if we do this, it's so stupid. Maybe if we do this, then that'll get his deal out of the way. But like I said, come to find out, we went there to the swingers club a few times, and every time it was all about him and having sex, and like it really didn't matter. And I would actually, every time we would go back into a room with a couple, I would say, I have to pee, but I'd grab all my clothes and I would leave and I'd walk out, and then I would change and just go to the bar because I was not feeling it. So when I met Brent, hearing about his swinging on the air, I was like, listen, if you want to date me, I am not swinging. Like, I'm not doing it. I've been there. I've done that. He was an asshole. I'm not doing it. And
amazing. So yeah. Okay. So give it to me.
So he was totally cool with that. He was like, I completely understand. You know, I obviously I cannot get too much into this, but I don't know that his initial swinging experience was great either. But so then fast forward, I don't know, I think we were together 6 years, maybe married 2, but together 6 years. And when you move to another state, 2 different states with somebody, when you don't know people, I know we weren't married, but we spent a lot of time together. So we were drinking, I want to say it was St. Patrick's Day. Anyways, we had been drinking, and we started
You were
talking.
already in New York at this time?
Yes. We had been in New York at this point, maybe 4 years. Okay. And so we were talking, and I was like, I got to tell you something. I got to confess something to you. And he goes, what? So, well, when we're having sex sometimes, like my fantasy, like sometimes I think about you having sex with somebody else to finish. He's like, what? He goes, well, all right, I got to admit something to you. Me too. So that's what led us into, well, should we try it? And I was like, listen, if I don't like it, even the first time, whatever, we got to stop, because I don't want to ruin our relationship over this. And that's how it all started.
Were you guys not married yet at this point?
No, we were. We had been married 2 years, I believe. Yeah, because
So you got married while you were in New York.
Yeah, we got married in, God, it seems so like, what's the day? We got married, I think, in 2018. Yeah. Yes. I don't know. I know how many years. And we just had our 4-year anniversary.
As he's chatting on our chats over here, he's listening in the other room. Okay, so Brent, when he started out on the Stern Show, he wasn't really on air. So he wasn't really like a on-air personality. He was just somebody kind of behind the scenes, not really yet a personality. Do you think the fact that he started talking about swinging and you guys doing the whole swinging thing was the thing that kind of made the entree into him being more of a player on air? Like, do you think that was his entree into because these are kind of things that interest Howard. These are the things that make Howard want to hear more about your life. So do you think that's what happened?
I mean, he had been on air before that with stuff, but I definitely think that this probably made it a little bit more interesting. But that was a very long conversation that he and I had. We didn't know at first if this is anything that we wanted to share because, like I said, I had a regular life, even though he was on the air. I had a commercial real estate job. Like, I wasn't sure if this was something that I really wanted to put out there. And we talked about it. And I said, well, maybe there's other people who are trying this. Maybe it might help people. I don't know. So we decided to share it. Yeah, that's basically the conversation we had.
Do you think it was a mistake in hindsight, or are you okay with it?
No, I mean, I don't. I feel like I don't know if I want to say evolved or changed or whatever since we even decided to swing, but once I started doing it more and it was part of my life. And I got to a point where I said, well, I'm not ashamed of who I am and what I do. So why not just put it out there? And it did kind of lead to OnlyFans only because I went to a swingers resort that started as a nudist resort. So it's rare to find a swingers resort where everybody's nude all the time, but Caliente in Tampa is like that. And I walked around just seeing everybody naked. And I was like, small girls, big girls, in between girls, they were all beautiful and different in their own way. And it made me so confident in my body. And that's when I said, well, I'll try. Also, a lot of people were messaging me on Instagram saying, you should really try to do OnlyFans. And at first I was like, fuck you, you're a dick, blah, 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 blah. And so many people were saying you should do it. And I don't know. And then like I said, I went to Caliente. And I was nude for like 3 or 4 days and everybody was nude. And I go, well, what does it matter? So I started out, I was just going to do nude pictures.
Certainly I don't.
Yeah. And so I was like, well, I'll just do nude stuff. And it's kind of like grown from there, I guess.
So how does your family feel about this kind of notoriety? Like is Brent a part of your family model? I mean, are you guys like, what do your parents think about this?
So my parents, no. My dad is pretty conservative, and he's just like, I don't want to hear about it. I just don't want to know. I just don't want to talk about it. I'm like, fair enough. And then my mom also knows, and I can talk to her a little bit about it, but I just choose not to. I don't want to make her feel weird or whatever. But if she asks me questions about it, I answer. And she basically had a conversation with me at some point and said, listen, I just want to make sure that you're not doing this just for money. I want to make sure that like you're happy.
What? No, you have to really love your craft. There's no reason to do this for money whatsoever.
I said to her, I was like, well, I mean, yeah, I make good money, but it has nothing to do with that. I know this sounds weird, but when I talk to other OnlyFans creators, they've all said the same thing. My confidence just kind of shot through the roof after doing that. And it just got to a point where, and I don't use any filters on my photos. And I just got to a point where I'm like, you know what? I don't care if they don't like this photo or if they're, going to make fun of me. I don't care. I feel better about myself. And I do enjoy it. It's my life. It's really, I don't like set up shoots. I go to, well, the first one I ever did was set up. Our friend came over. But after that one, it's just whenever we're with our swingers friends and, they're verified on OnlyFans or whatever else, and they're cool with me shooting, then we'll just like, Brent will just pick up a phone, or one of the husbands will pick up a phone, or one of the chicks will pick up a phone, and we just shoot like what's actually going on in our lives. So I figured, well, I guess I'm living an honest life. I'm not hiding it. This is my life.
I agree. And I want to come back to the OnlyFans thing and get into that a little bit more depth. So walk me through a typical day in the Hatley household, because as I say, the things I know about you, people say, you guys basically don't wake up until noon. You eat a lot of junk food. Like, do you cook? Do you watch TV? Like, do you have friends? Like, I mean, real friends, not just swinger couples that you meet, like legit, girlfriends that you hang out with. Do you even like girls? Not like in a sexual way, but like, do you have girlfriends? Like, do you have like really good besties that you can like pick up the phone and text and say, hey, what's going on?
I have one. The thing about it, and a lot of people don't understand this, but since I was a kid, I've always just been a tomboy. Like like when I was in daycare, I remember probably not daycare, like elementary school, like boys were playing like football, and the girls were playing with Barbies, and I always played with the boys. And from a kid, I was just relentlessly fucked with by chicks. And I'm not saying, that all women are bad or anything like that at all, but it's always been like that in my life. And I'm generally in person, I'm a nice person. And I know I get over the top, but when you're reading comments, it's harder than when you're in person. And I take things the wrong way. I completely admit it. But I'm not opposed to having girlfriends. And now I have a few, but if we're talking about like a vanilla friend I've had since college, she actually comes over once a month. And she lives like an hour and a half from here. So she'll stay like a day and a night. And Brent sleeps on the couch, and we have a king size bed. She sleeps on one side, I sleep on the other. She's usually in bed by 9 or 10. She has 2 small boys. So yeah, I keep in touch with them. But a lot of the women my age have kids, which is this lady I was just talking about, this friend. They have children, so it's kind of hard to schedule too much stuff.
Yeah, totally. Most of my closest friends, because I have no children, so most of my closest friends are men or gay men, or I have 2 really close girlfriends, but both of them have no children. And so I get along with them better because I don't have to talk about fucking kids all day, because I don't want to talk about kids all day. So I get that, but I feel like you guys kind of convey that really harshly on air a lot of times. And I feel like it kind of hurts your ability to get more people on the Brent show. I mean, not the OnlyFans thing, because I think that's like really just more guy generated, as it should be. But I think that in some way or fashion, you not having the dragon skin that you need to be this person that you are definitely affects your ability to have a bigger following.
Yeah, well,
Do you agree?
With women and stuff, I know I go off on women, but I go off on women because I'm a woman, and I'm like, well, listen, the same women who are saying I'm going off on them are going off on me as well. And I do push back.
But who gives a shit?
Oh, honestly, I know. But that's my point is like,
it's so silly.
But this is what I don't understand. So like, when you're on the air, as you project more. You're kind of emphasizing some of your good and bad qualities.
I have gotten so much shit from so many fucking trolls. And actually, the best thing that anybody ever said to me was, shockingly, Steve Grillo, who said, you cannot have thin skin if you're going to do this and put yourself out there. You have to have fucking dragon skin and ignore and just fucking not pay attention to anything anyone says. And I feel like even though you are out there, tits out, I mean, fucking balls to the goddamn wall, and you're still getting into shit with people. I mean, and I see the chat over here. You know that there's a couple of people on here who you've kind of had a little bit of a thing with, and they started talking about how you're talking about somebody's girlfriend who has a kid who has Asperger's or something, and just all this shit.
Well, there's a lot of other stuff that happened.
I'm sure there's a lot of history
doing
that.
And also, at this point, those people specifically, I've been asked by a detective to not talk about it all until everything is done. But there was a lot with that. And also, so I can say this. I went on the air. I was pissed off because we got some emails that were just out of nowhere. Just I'll just say it was like Sketchy sent us an email out of nowhere. I didn't even realize there was an issue, and it was just scathing. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just done. I keep trying so hard to like just be nice to some of these people, and I'm done. So we were at Secrets, and I got on Patreon, and I was like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm done. And so I started talking about butt burgers and Asperger's. I had no idea that anybody's kid had Asperger's. Obviously, there's a good chance with all the people that watch that somebody's kid would, but I had no idea. I was not trying to point out somebody specific. I was just pissed and I was retaliating. And like I said, I am trying to be better. I was, if you recall, I know you don't watch the show, but if, like I said, the listeners, watchers recall,
I feel like
it used to be every day though that I would just go off, and I've gotten way better. Like I'm working on it, and that's the thing that people don't understand. When you're used to being in business for 13 years, 13 or 14, I don't remember. It's in the teens at this point. When you're used to doing this and like working like with somewhat logical people or people who just pretend to be logical at work, is so different than this. And I went through so many stages, like just being angry. I did drink a lot. I think a lot of people did during the pandemic, but it was just such a shock to me. Like everything was so new. I did drink a lot. I went through so many ways to just try to make it better in my mind. And finally, I was like, who fucking cares? Like you said, who fucking cares? And sometimes I let myself go off, or I hit my breaking point. But again, it's been a little over, I guess it's been like a year and a couple months since we started doing this. And it's not something that I've ever had, experience with dealing with. And it was a lot at one time. It wasn't just like, oh, this person's fucking with you and that person's fucking with you. It felt like a wall of people just fucking with us. And I didn't know how to handle it. There's nobody you can like reach out to and say, hey, can you advise me on how to deal with this?
You should have called me, because I would have told you to fucking ignore everybody and just do your goddamn show. Because
no, you're right.
And I feel like sometimes if you guys like either drink too much or smoke too much or do whatever it is you guys are doing, because everybody's always suspect about what the fuck you're doing, I feel like it gets worse. Like I feel like it just becomes like this.
It's when it's when we're drinking. I mean, straight up. Like if I was just smoking weed, I would be like, fuck, whatever.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's when I'm drinking, and like I haven't drank at all. I'm trying to keep it to the weekends now, because I'm only 35. I'm not trying to blow up my liver by 40.
Yeah, no shit. It'd be like a fucking raisin. Like, what's wrong with you?
And also, and also I realize how much more heated I get and how much more upset I get and how I take things the wrong way.
You can see it. You take everything to fucking heart.
I know.
You take everybody. You read every goddamn comment.
I don't deny it.
You start yelling at them, and I feel like it's bad for business. Like you see the way when people leave the Stern Show and basically he never talks about them again, whether they say good things or bad things, or they talk about how he sucked. He never says anything. You know why? Because he never wants to give them any fucking quarter. And you don't do that.
But here's the thing. We tried to do that for a few weeks. So I don't remember what month it was.
So a few weeks you tried to do it.
Well, this is the reason why it was only a few weeks. We tried for a few weeks and it got worse than ever. It was like mommy and daddy aren't paying attention to me. So they just started to do more and more fucked up shit until we started to acknowledge them. And once we started to acknowledge them again, I swear to God, it went down. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? If I ignore them, they go more ape shit. If I talk to them, they continue to be ape shit. I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
You can't win at the troll game. You can't.
No, there was literally nothing that I could do. Like I said, I kind of even got on Brent a little bit. I was like, that's it. We are done. Our mental health is important. We cannot acknowledge these people anymore. And then it was like the shit got crazier. So like I said, I didn't know what to do at that point.
So here you are now. You're like a public figure. How are you handling the comments about your lifestyle, about your body? Do you feel bullied? Like, do you feel like people kind of come after you on a constant basis? You know, there's a subreddit about you guys. God knows there's a whole thing on my forum. I mean, do you feel like people are kind of attacking you unfairly, or do you think that some of it is kind of justified based on how you guys project yourselves out there?
Hold on one second.
Who's he talking to?
He actually has a meeting with miserable men right now. So he's trying to be in the bedroom. We only have a 2-bedroom apartment. He's trying to be in the other bedroom and talk, and I can hear him. So I'm asking him to shut the office door so I don't have to get up. I'm sorry. Can you
That's okay.
ask that again? I'm like, it's
No, I was
killing
just
me.
asking if you feel bullied and whether or
Oh,
not
yeah.
you feel like you guys have kind of put yourselves into this situation based on how you chose to put yourselves out there once you started the show.
All right, he's not shutting the door. I'm
Okay, go
sorry.
ahead.
Let me do this
Yeah,
for
go.
you because I don't want it to mess up your show.
Go ahead.
I actually I don't really not by people calling me names. I don't feel bullied by people calling me names. I did it first. Honestly, I did. I felt like, what did I do? Like, what the hell? And now I'm like, you know what? Whatever. It's fine. I'm just gonna like one of our friends who we hang out with in Miami, he's on Reddit here and there, and he's like, listen, a lot of the people on there are just ball busting. They're just having fun.
Oh, they're horrible.
So now I don't really care people calling me names. And I guess honestly it helps that when we go to stuff, swinger stuff, even like shows like rock shows or whatever.
Yeah.
It helps because I'm weird with compliments anyway. I get kind of embarrassed and I change the subject, but people do compliment me a lot. So I'm like, well, whatever. The people I'm hanging out with and stuff, they like the way I look. My husband likes the way I look. So I don't care. I don't feel bullied by that. This is the only part that I just wish it wouldn't get to is people like threatening violence towards me. I just don't want it to get to that point. Like I don't want to be walking around, looking around, wondering like if somebody's going to blindside me and hit me in the face just because they're pissed off about what I say. But if you want to call me, I got people call me Waitlin and fat. So I don't care. You can call me fat all you want. I'm totally okay with that. I'm definitely thick. But if you want to call me fat, I really don't care.
Who you are, babe. Do you do anything to keep yourself in shape for your account? Like, do you?
So I try to run once a week, like 3 miles or so, just to keep up, like running. And I do smoke a lot of weed, so I want to keep my lungs in somewhat decent shape. And I'll go to the gym occasionally. But I do have sex with Brent a lot. Like I really do. And we've been together a long time. We can go if we want to go for an hour, we can. And I like to be on top a lot. So it's funny, but it's true. I'm like, I do work out from being on top. Like I'm almost planking. I'm using a lot of my legs and my arms, but I try to work in other workouts too.
Planking. So, okay. So I do want to talk a little bit about Stern Show days, and then I want to get into the OnlyFans thing. Okay. So hold on, I have questions, and I took down so little in my question thing because I figured we would do it kind of a little bit freewheeling. These are some questions for my forum. So you got shit coming onto a woman during Christmas party. My question for you, and you're very blunt about when you talk about this stuff. Like my opening was like you talking about, I guess, jackhammer, and full reveal. I asked him to come on tonight, and he was supposed to. And I was going to tell you before we even got on air because I didn't want to bushwhack you with having somebody come on. That was what your relationship was with people like him. But nonetheless, so there you are at the Christmas party. Everybody wanted to talk about, you kind of coming on to some of the girls and shit like that. And how real of a story or situation was that during that Christmas party?
So it was just one. It was Mement's girlfriend, Mary.
It was cute.
And yeah, but so it's funny because I get into a fun, happy party place and I forget that I'm not hanging out with my friends from home who know me better, that I'm hanging out with these people. And that was right after, if you recall, he had gone on the air and said she's hotter than everybody else's significant other, and was putting her over and like, oh, she's super hot, blah, blah, blah. So I met her and I was like, I was trying to give her a funny compliment, but she doesn't. I realized after the fact she doesn't know me well enough. Yeah, so right. At that point, I had never hooked up with a chick. I mean, I'm sure I know that I made out with probably a couple chicks back in college or something for, whatever, fucking around. But I'd literally never licked a woman's vagina and never had my vagina licked by a woman.
Yeah.
So I realize now that she didn't know that, but we had all been having a good time and partying. And by the way, we're good friends now. Like everything's fine. And she wasn't upset by that either. It was Mehmet who was like, this is my girlfriend. But I said to her, I was like, something about her being so hot that I would totally lick her pussy. That was the comment. I will totally lick your pussy because she's so hot. Well, I should have probably mentioned that I've never done that before, and at the time wasn't planning to. It was a compliment that I used to joke around with my friends.
A compliment.
So,
I would love to lick your pussy.
Like, because I had never done it before, and I wasn't planning it. So it was like, well, if you look decent and you look clean and you seem like you're a decent person, then, maybe I'd consider it. But as a joke, and I didn't even think about that because I was laughing, and she was like, "Oh, thanks, that's such a great compliment," and we were all laughing.
Everything
was
gets back
fun.
to them at that those
Oh
fucking parties.
yeah,
Everybody
it was
on
funny
there is
because
a
everybody
turncoat.
thought it was great, and they laughed. And then Mehmet was like, "Well, Katelyn was hitting on my girlfriend," which made for great content. Yes, absolutely.
100%.
But I was like, "What the fuck?"
So did you also? But we were told that you also hit on Tango, or is that true?
Oh no, never. I did not.
She's not your type.
The first. Well, no, I think she's really pretty and everything. But like I don't know. The first couple times I met her, I didn't really know her that well, and I don't know, because it was only specifically because of what Mehmet had said on the air. So it really didn't have to do with like looks or anything like that. I was just doing it because I felt like she felt awkward because she felt bad because of what Mehmet said about everybody's significant other. So I was trying to lighten up the mood and joke around. Right. And that's specifically what that is. But no, not at all.
Do you think any of them, like of the Stern Show women in particular, other than like Mehmet's girlfriend, is somebody attractive? Or, the weird thing is, it's like you're one of the few besides Ronnie's girlfriend, whoever really is in the spotlight on that show. Like most of them tend to stay off air and not really want their wives or significant others to get involved in the show. Do you feel kind of like, you're part of like a very, very limited crew of people that actually was able to kind of, parlay just being the wife of a staff member into actually doing something on air? And I feel like almost, with everything that happened in LA, it's just kind of felt like almost like the downfall of you guys' relationship with the Stern Show. Like, I feel like it went just a little too far, just in terms of like the swinging content and how they were treating Brent out there, and you meanwhile being back home, with the home fires burning with a fucking jackhammer, and how that all kind of went down still feels a little bit weird to me.
So the only thing I would say is on our end, it did get a little bit frustrating when, like, of course you're going to make jokes. Of course it's funny. But it was the same joke over and over again. And like there's sometimes when you get into the minutia and the details, you can make even more jokes and be funny. But it was just like the same shit over and over again. Oh, you're lying. Oh, they only like Katelyn, blah, 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 blah. But that didn't have anything to do with it. Basically what happened was it wasn't right after. I think it was in the new year. Everything was fine after LA. I mean, there was a lot of rumors about Brent, but on air and everything was fine. But after the first of the year, and this is according to a few people that I know from the show who still work there was a meeting that basically said, we're getting rid of real shit and we're going to add more phony phone calls, and we want to make it more of like phony phone calls and puppets. And, we just don't really want to get into real comedy stuff. Yeah. And so Brent was just like, fuck, dude. He came home and I talked to some other people, and it just kind of, for what we do, it just, or not what we do. I say we because I say we about Brent all the time. What he does, I'm not in this. I just did it. I'm just doing it now with him. But what he does, that's not what he does, like calling up as the Hulk or whatever else. Right. So he was like, well, you know what, at this point, and there were some people there in charge that were continuing to manage with, in my opinion, not much experience, and also maybe giving the wrong information about what was doing good on the show or not to certain people in charge.
You know what?
It was just too much
Howard
drama and
exists
bullshit.
like a boy in a plastic bubble. He's only told what they want him to hear. It's kind of a bizarre thing to me. Like, even the Twitter is blocked now completely. Like, you can't make comments, you can't do anything
unless they follow you. You can't comment. I know.
That's right. So, what do you think happened?
So there's a difference between like telling something something that they want to hear, and having a meeting saying, hey, this bit did really good. Well, when I say bit, segment, whatever, this did really good, way better than anything else. But then when they go to him, they say, oh no, the celebrity interviews are the best. And when you look at the statistics that everybody gets, the celebrity interviews in this particular case, I cannot say every other month, but in this particular case, the celebrity interviews were here and the staff stuff was here. And they told him it was like this. So, and there's no access
because
to
they never really talk about, like, how many people are listening and but how do they manage that? I mean, there has to be some sort of metrics by which they, charge advertisers and stuff like that. Yet they love to say that, it's the interviews. That's the thing that is the best thing that he does. And so they push that. But meanwhile, it's the same 20 people.
Well, don't take my word on it. But I believe it's through reaction. So they don't care if it's positive or negative. They're looking for people who react on social media. There's also phone calls. So like there's a whole log of people calling, and you can tell what they're calling about. I think it goes from phone calls and then maybe other stuff, but I think they do a lot of phone call stuff, because there's a ton of calls, obviously, that come into the Stern show. So they measure some of the topics there too. There could be more. I'm just not sure. So I just thought it was kind of interesting that there's only a couple people who have access to them. And then when they give them, literally the wrong statistics.
But they choose to. But you know what? Everything stems from the top. I mean, I know nothing about like the Marcy person or any of those people that are there, but my feeling is that everything stems from I love the eye roll. Everything stems from, people that actually aren't paid by Sirius, but are paid by 112 Productions and are in charge of pretty much everything that goes on that show. So they keep him in a little bubble, and they keep their talent happy.
So this is my opinion. This is totally my opinion. Yes. I think, and I try not to use her name that much, but I'm just going to go ahead. I think that Marcy is hired to make Howard's life better. If that means being around more celebrities and making sure that Howard or nobody on the show offends more celebrities, if that means whatever the case may be, she's not there to make the show better. She's there to make Howard's life better. So that's usually not going to make the show better.
Of course.
And she has a lot of pull with everything.
She's the top dog. And so what she says goes. Yeah. And you know what? And at some point, we had done a review of what we call the Pelican Brief, which was that thing that he did, which I'm sure you saw. I
didn't even know he was called a pelican until like a year ago.
Oh my God, always. And so it was basically talking about how he wanted to improve the show because he was really concerned about the way it was going. And I guess familiarity breeds a lot of contempt in that show, since a lot of people have been there 25, 30 years. So after a while, what is your job anymore? Like, it's a well-oiled machine. Most of the people that are on there, besides like a Brent and very, very few others, had ever had any other job other than being on the show. So all they know is that world. All they know is the Howard world and the way to do things. And I think at some point when people start coming in dressed in like, Adidas sweatshirts and ripped jeans and shit like that, so part of him says, fuck, why are we still like this? When I go on other people's shows and I
Sure.
see so many other people looking amazing and professional and stuff like that. And I think originally she was kind of brought in as the person to get everybody in fucking line, like to just
Absolutely.
make everybody get in line.
I'll add on to that. I think at this point in Howard's life too, I mean, I guess, he should be, I guess, allowed to be happy. So if bringing her into his life and SiriusXM wants to pay him this much to do this show, it's his decision. And like I said, if she's making him happy at this point, he's probably earned it.
He's won. He won. He makes $90 million a year. He fucking won. I mean, that's just the bottom line.
True.
Do you think that the people there, the ones that and the ones that you're aware, do you think that they're happy, or do you think that it's a point where it's like, God, I've been here so fucking long, I don't even know what else I would do with myself?
I think a lot of people are nervous and don't know what to do after this, because if radio's always been your thing, radio is not a thing right now. I mean, if you can get a podcast, or if you can, do what you're doing, and we make some money off of Twitch. I guess you could do that, but it's near impossible to get a radio gig. I mean, iHeart is like the McDonald's of radio right now. They're making everything automatic. They're taking away as many real people as possible. So there's just not a job.
They only need one person for 50 fucking markets.
Yeah. And it's crazy, because if you're in Michigan or Wisconsin, what the hell do you care about what's going on in Tampa or Miami?
Like a rat's ass.
It doesn't make sense.
It's just very evergreen radio. You don't have to talk about anything that's local, and you just play more, fucking music. Little people, whatever the fuck they play these days. I don't even really even know. There was one other, my last like real stern thing. You were at a party at Ronnie's house, and there was like that weird thing that happened with one of Ronnie's friends. Can you tell us like that story and what actually happened that day?
Yeah, so I don't know. It was this thing that sucks. It was a really fun, cool party. Like it sucks that like the last 5 minutes of it is like the entire party, right? But we were there, and I don't know. We were all having a good time. I didn't know that this guy had been taking his phone and taking pictures under Mary's skirt at the party. Mamet's girlfriend.
Again with Mary.
I didn't know. I didn't know that he was doing that, and I don't know. He had kind of been I think like maybe one time he had said something where it came off kind of flirty, but I didn't think anything of it, because everybody's been drinking. I don't hold people to it. So we literally had just ordered an Uber. They were like 5 or 10 minutes away. I told Brent, I was like, I gotta pee real quick. So Ronnie has a bathroom. I guess it's a basement, and you go down. So I guess in that area. And so there was somebody in it. I didn't know who was in it. So I waited, and the guy came out, and he was like, hey, blah, blah, how are you? And I'm like, well, we're leaving. I got to pee. Let me go pee. He's like, no. Come in the bathroom with me. I'm like, no, I got to go. So I'm trying to walk in the bathroom, and I wouldn't say yanked me in, but he grabbed my arm and pulled me in and then shut the door. And I was not like, because I feel like I could have handled myself, or I could have yelled or screamed or kicked him, but it was a very small space. It was like a very tiny, I want to say it was a half bath actually, but it was a tiny space, right?
Yeah.
So he's like in front of the door, and I'm here, and I'm like walking this way in like the tiniest circle ever, and he's following me, and he thinks it's hilarious. I'm just trying to get away from him and get to the door. And at that moment, before I could do anything, I mean, we're talking maybe 3 to 5 seconds before I could do anything. Brent can tell, like he can hear me talking to him, like, dude, get the fuck out of the way. And he goes, what the fuck is going on in here? And I think he kicked in the door. And the guy was like, oh, I'm sorry. She told me she was married. This is my bad. And he literally ran out and up the steps. And I didn't see him again because our Uber was there. And it's funny because people are like, oh no, Katelyn wanted to have sex with him in the bathroom and blah, blah. I'm like, we literally had just gotten an Uber. Like,
everybody was thinking you guys went in there to do blow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why.
Oh, no, hell no. Okay. First off, other than weed, even with mushrooms, man, I'm not doing shit out of New York. Anything. I don't give a fuck what it is other than weed, because I don't know those people. There's so many cases of fentanyl. Like, I don't want to touch that shit. I've heard about this cop who got fentanyl on his arm, and it was so bad it killed him, like just by touching it. And that shit they put in coke. I don't know why they're trying to kill the people they
Do you
sell
know how many police dogs have died because of sniffing fentanyl?
Why in the hell are dealers trying to kill off their clients? I do not know, but there's no fucking way I was going to be doing any of that shit. But we literally just got in an Uber. And imagine this. We lived in Jersey City. Ronnie lived like as far out as Queens as possible. Imagine doing coke and then sitting in an Uber car for 2 hours riding home. So no, we weren't doing any of that. I just was like, I literally just needed to pee because it was almost here. Like Brent was like, literally, you got to hurry up because the Uber's going to be here any minute. So there's no reason for me to do anything with him. It was just one of those instances where you're shocked. You're like, holy shit, is this happening? Like, and I've been drinking all day. And I'm like, what the fuck? And like I said, before I could do anything, Brent heard what was going on and like kicked the door open. So
and saved you from Ronnie's creeper friend.
I can't say one or the other what would have happened or not happened. I don't know, but it was a very weird situation.
That wound up more of a story than it needed to be.
Yeah, and I wasn't planning on even talking about it. I told Brent, I'm like, I don't want to talk about this. This whole party was fucking awesome. But then he was talking to Mehmet. We didn't know that this guy had been taking pictures under Mary's skirt. So Mehmet's pissed, and then Brent's like, oh shit, that same guy did this. And then, of course, somebody overheard it, and then it made it to the air. I did not want to ruin the awesome stories of his party with that.
Right.
But it did.
Right. So how do you feel about Ronnie today? Because I feel like Ronnie talked a little bit of shit about Brent, like during the whole LA thing.
Well, I always loved Ronnie. You can't help but love him. Like even when he called Brent a rat on the air and he was all pissed off at him, the way that they kind of made up was I saw Ronnie at the Christmas party. And I'm like, Ronnie, I love you. And he's like, okay, yeah, me too. You know, it's so hard to be mad at Ronnie. Like it is easy on the air to get pissed at him because he becomes so crazed on the air. Right. But in person, he's such a sweet guy. He's almost always smiling and having a good time. He just always looks like he's the life of the party. It's hard to not like the guy.
So it's kind of like, so he's moving now, you know, he sold his house and he's moving to Vegas. And do you think that now with people moving around, and especially I'm firmly in the belief that Howard will never go back into the office in New York ever again. Like I think he'll just stay in his fucking basement forever. But do you think that, you know, when I had the interview with Brent, we were talking about how there's like 70 people on staff there, which is a fucking enormous amount of people for a show that's on 3 days a week. Do you think there's enough work for all of these people? Like we always wonder about Mehmet. Like what's he doing these days? Like he's never on air, you know, they never put him on. You know, how much fucking content do you need for 3 hours of show a day? And I'm just wondering what your feelings are on kind of how that show dynamic works.
So with Mehmet, I'm pretty sure from my understanding, he doesn't really want to be on air. Like he likes writing and producing and stuff. And that's when eventually Howard retires or he leaves or whatever. He doesn't want to be a face on the air. It's not really.
Mehmet will have a future. Mehmet will have a future. Yeah. I mean, there are people there who I can't even imagine what they would do when they leave. Sure. You know.
So agreed. Well, you know, the thing is too, there is a lot of work being done. There's a lot of shit being written and produced. There are people going out on the street and getting stuff. There's people who are living their life. But they don't use any of it. They tell them that they want to go out and they want to create all this content. So what happens is they spend hours, and I know they all work hard. They spend hours working on all this stuff for Howard to do, you know, 30 minutes of The Bachelor, and then have 30 minutes of a call-in, and then have an hour of a guest. So basically,
it seems like a lot of spinning of wheels.
If you knew some of the good shit, the content that you never got to hear, that never made it to the air. There's like 6 layers of people in between that who can X-nay it And it's all about, in my opinion, I don't know this for a fact, but it's all about like making sure, like kind of, I think, protecting Howard and just making sure that he doesn't say anything bad about anybody. And I think he wants to probably eventually end his career where he's on good notes with everybody in Hollywood, everybody in general. And it's more of like
Everybody loves him.
a poppy.
Fucking
It's not so much shock anymore. It's more, like fun,
fluffy
and
bullshit.
stuff. Yeah,
It's not fun, but
they still are asked to create all this fun, shocking content. It's just not used.
I just feel like it's a colossal waste of people's time, effort, and fucking money to have such a large staff and have none of it come to fruition. It's just amazing to me. All right, so let's talk about OnlyFans. Let's talk about you and your sex and all this stuff, because I'm really genuinely curious about how you do this. Like, are you ever concerned about STDs?
So, yes. What on OnlyFans, what people do is they have they get tested. We get tested constantly, and I only hook up with people like there's very few people that I have sex with without a condom.
Okay.
And those people, we have constant STD checks. You can even upload them to a site where you can check people's STDs and all that. So yeah, of course. But it seems like I'm having sex with more people without a condom than I actually am. It's literally 3. So, I mean, I'm not saying that it's not going to change. I'm definitely not saying it's not going to change, but it's kind of like with porn, you are constantly getting checked and constantly showing your, the check to the person that you're hooking up with.
But if you're at like a Caliente's or something like that, and you decide you want to fuck somebody or do something, where's the check there?
Condom. I use a lot. I do. Yeah. If it's not somebody I know, and it's not a content creator who's constantly having to, get checked and all that, then I always use a condom then. Always. I don't know. Maybe other people don't, but I don't know. I don't need that.
How do you see this happening as a long-term thing for you? Like, I like, Brent's like, well, the MILF thing is really hot on OnlyFans and blah, blah, blah. But in reality, how do you feel? How do you see this working out? Like, just in the long term.
So in the long term, I'd like to continue to do it. So right now I have mostly like Howard Stern and Bubba fans who want to see me. And but eventually, like, I'm trying to get with more content creators who have actual just OnlyFans fans, not radio fans, and try to get some of those as well. I do want to make this a little bit bigger of a business and a bigger of a thing because, like I said, I do enjoy my life and I'm not ashamed of it. And it's basically just my life being put on OnlyFans. And if I could do that and not do the Twitch show and all that, I would much, much prefer it, because I'm sure there's plenty of people who are jerks on OnlyFans who probably, go and talk shit about me and whatever. But the messages themselves are mostly really nice. And some of these, there's one guy I talked to on there who's just very down. He's just really sad. And I try like every Monday to say, what good thing happened to you this week? Because if I ask him, can you tell me? He'd be like, no. Or did anything good happen? No. And I like that connection with people. I like that I might be helping somebody, even if it's just through the chat. And I like that, that they enjoy it, and it's mostly good comments.
So then why don't you do that more and not the Brent show?
Well, that's what I'm working on. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to do, but I can't leave Brent hanging. That's why I'm not on camera. I don't, I did my hair and makeup, I just literally 5 minutes and scrunch it. But I did put on makeup and stuff. We're going to come back
to your hair because I literally have like 17 fucking people who have comments for some inexplicable reason about your hair. I don't know why, but we'll come back to that. All right, good. So,
yeah, I just sit behind it. The only thing I wanted to do was produce and manage. I never wanted to be in front of the camera. And we had a co-host when we first started the Twitch show.
I remember that.
And so when at first I was on camera, like for the first before he came on, is like a pre thing, and he goes, "There's no way you can keep Katelyn off camera. You've got to put her on camera." The co-host did, and I was like, "Fuck, all right." And that's how it started. And so I removed myself as much as possible. I'm on Fridays from camera. I just wanted to do like, and it's hard to read chat in context. That's why I would get so pissed at people. I'm trying to look at the camera and talk and look at Brent. And then I look down at chat and I see something that sounds really mean. And it was completely out of context.
And you react to it. And you react to it, though. That's the crazy thing.
I know.
So, okay. So here's you saying at the beginning of our interview that you started out with the OnlyFans thing and you were just going to do pictures only. And you were just going to do like nudies and stuff like that. But do you see that fucking slippery slope of starting out doing pictures and you know, and now if you make it a bigger thing, like what's the Mendoza line? Like what line won't you cross within the confines of like an OnlyFans thing?
So the line I won't cross is something I wouldn't do in real life. So everything I do is literally like my life. It's our swinger friends. It's actually like hanging out at these places. So if I wouldn't do something in real life, like I rarely ever do anal. Do I do anal? Sure. It is so rare though. So, you know, I don't have, I think I might have put, I put like a butt plug and stuff in my butt on OnlyFans.
Let's bookmark this on June 9th of 2021.
Yeah, I'm not saying that I wouldn't do anal one day because I do it occasionally in my private life, which there is no private life. But
you have no private life.
You know, but if I wouldn't actually do it in person, then I'm not going to do it on OnlyFans. I try to keep OnlyFans real and just kind of be like my life.
But is there anything that you save just for Brent?
Is there anything I save just for Brent? Well, I've never pegged anybody else, but that's not something we do all the time. That's not something that we really do that much ever. But I've never pegged anybody else. So I guess that's one.
So there's that.
Yeah.
I
can't think of anything else.
Okay. Do you think that you have like an addictive personality or do you think that you're addicted to sex? And is that what makes you do what you do?
Nah, no. You know, I used to be really worried about like, you know, am I an addictive person? I don't know. And I don't think at all that I'm an addictive person. Generally when I decide I'm going to stop something, like when I decided I was going to stop cigarettes, I just stopped cigarettes. It was fucking hard. But so I don't think so at all. And with sex, I just enjoy it. You know, like and the thing too is, yes, these last couple of weeks were kind of nuts, but generally speaking, we swing maybe once a month. And it's, you know, it's partying as well with our friends at a place. It's not as much as people think. And I'm not saying it's not going to go up, but I really enjoy my alone time with Brent, even though we have a ton. I don't know. We don't do it that much.
But the OnlyFans is not a we, it's a you. You know what I mean? Like it's you. It is 100%.
Oh yeah. You. Oh yeah. And I'm just talking about swinging.
But do you feel like, you know, it just being kind of you and clearly, you know, the OnlyFans is going to be something that probably makes money for you guys as a long-term thing with you as the brand. So all of a sudden it switches from being like a Brent-centric kind of thing to a you above and beyond the swinging. Like it's about you now. So how does that, and I don't fear because it's your life and you do it whatever the fuck you want. But I fear that, you know, it's like there'll come a point where it's like, okay, what other fucking outrageous thing do I need to do now in order to keep people sated on my channel? And
on
to keep
OnlyFans or on Twitch?
On OnlyFans, I'm talking specifically because there's only certain things you could do on Twitch. I mean, you can't really just, you know, there's a line there.
So I've actually talked to other content creators who have made this a long-term business and stuff. And I thought the same thing too that you said, but talking to these people, it's really just putting out more content. I met this one content creator last weekend, and she puts out like 20 to 40-minute videos and
How often?
in different situations once a week. And but she posts like pictures or something every day, but once a week she'll ask people to buy her video. So you can keep it going. It really just has to do with marketing and continuing to basically shoot different situations and different places and different guys and orgies. Like when I say orgies, I mean you can have like 2 chicks and 2 guys. So it's not that difficult. I just have to get more into the OnlyFans type people and probably less into radio type people, which I completely appreciate it that they have subscribed and followed. But I don't want to lean primarily on the fact that I was on the Stern Show a couple times. And I want to actually, I don't take it for granted that I started off with a decent fan base on OnlyFans because that's going to go away. That doesn't last forever. So I'm going to start
actually and flows. So you need to, it needs to be more your thing as Katelyn, not wife of Brent, as I put you out there. And, and I actually felt bad doing that. I was like, God, it makes it sound like she's not her own fucking person. Okay. But I just felt like I needed to do that so people were sure about who you were. Is there a bucket list of like people or things you want to do or people you'd like to be with sexually? Like, is there something that you might want to be doing more of?
I know this is a really boring answer, but no. What I enjoy is just going with Brent to these things and just meeting new people, having a good time. A lot of it is just hanging out, having a couple of drinks and smoking. It's not sex all the time at these places, even though obviously sex happens. I honestly can't think of anything that I really care that much about to do or a person that I would want to have sex with. And like, I don't have a celebrity crush. It's not, I don't know. It's sorry, it's a boring answer, but
that's okay.
No, I really don't.
Do you think that you have more sex than Brent does?
I mean, Brent
is
more
always
into
reciprocal. Well, is it always that if you're out and you decide you want to have sex with someone, is it a discussion? Is it okay, what do you think about this one? Yes. Is it normally a couple? And are there times where either he'll do something and you're not, or vice versa? Or like, how does it usually work out?
So there's always a discussion. I'm always says, hey, or he'll tell me a chick that he's interested in. I'll tell him a guy I'm interested in having sex with if they're not together already. And he'll say, okay, great. But it's usually after we've been hanging out with them for a while. Like that's kind of our thing. But actually this past weekend, Brent had sex with 2 women other than me. And I only had sex with 1 guy other than Brent. And it just worked out that way because believe it or not, it's hard to find penises sometimes. There's a lot of guys are there with their wife, and then some of the guys that are there single are you got to kind of vet them a little. They can be kind of creepy.
Yeah.
So it's actually kind of difficult sometimes to find penis, but there are times where I have sex more. I actually watched Brent for 40 minutes have sex with my friend Genesis, who's a content creator, last weekend. And he'll watch me and I'll watch him. It just depends on what's going on. I prefer to watch him while I'm having sex, and so does he. But like he prefers to watch me while he's having sex. But sometimes the timing just doesn't work out that way. So and I do enjoy watching it. I mean, and most people in the lifestyle do enjoy watching it, or I think they would have a real problem with their significant other having sex.
Yeah. See, so that's the whole thing for me because I'm not a good sharer, and so I'm not really good with feeling like being more to something than somebody just being fucked. And I get that you're somehow able to compartmentalize this into a sex thing as opposed to a emotional thing. Yes.
Yes. Oh, definitely.
Has there ever been a time though where you fuck a guy and you're like, Jesus Christ, he's so fucking hot, and they try to kind of like take it to another level, or text you, or see if you want to get together alone and shit like that? Like, does that happen?
That hasn't happened to us. We've always hooked up with couples, and more recently we're hanging out with this group in Miami who are mostly single people. But we're good friends with them now, so they're super respectful. Any woman that texts Brent, we're on a group text together, and any man that texts me, we're on a group text together. So there's a chick who texts Brent occasionally, and she's from our Miami group, and she's a single woman. But I'm always on the text. I almost never respond, but I'm on the group text. She knows I'm on the group text. I can read everything, and I feel okay with that, as long as it's all open and out there and I can, see what's, going on.
Do you feel that to have sex with somebody else, do you need to be a little bit drunk or high, or is it something that now that you're doing so often, or as often as you want to, that you can go into it just like, stone cold sober and just fuck somebody for the gratification of it?
So, yeah, actually, when I'm stone cold sober, it feels better. I mean, I can get closer to having like coming or whatever if I'm sober. I feel like smoking and drinking and all that. It almost is hard to pay attention sometimes. Like you're high and you're like, oh yeah, I was thinking about that. Oh shit, I'm having sex with this guy. God damn it, pay attention. So I actually kind of prefer to be sober if having sex, but when you're hanging out in group settings, but everybody's, you might be smoking a joint, you might be having a drink. So sometimes that's not always the case, but I have found that I enjoy it better if I'm sober.
And what's more gratifying to you, guys or girls, generally?
Like hooking up with?
Yeah.
Guys. I'm very selective. I will hook up with women here and there, but I'm very selective, and I have to get to know them, because I can't explain. I mean, because people will probably be like, or it would sound over exaggerated, but I have had a lot of issues in the past, but straight up just women being mean to me. I mean, this is before Howard Stern or anything like that. So I always make sure that they're cool. Oh, I also had a chick who was like obsessed with Brent and treated me like shit. So
why do you think girls are mean to you? I'm serious. Like, why do you think they're mean to you? Like, what makes that happen?
So I don't know in every case. I know in the case with this chick who was fucking obsessed with Brent, sometimes I think they look at me and think that I'm gonna be this bitch who I don't know, is thinks that I'm the shit and all that. And so they come up like out the gate just being like not liking me, and from looks. And then when they realize that I'm too nice and I'm over nice, I feel like I get taken advantage of. They're like, oh, okay, well, here's this chick now, and I can walk all over her. So I try to keep everybody at a distance until I know them. But especially with women, I don't know. It's just been a lot. It's been a lot with different stuff.
So are you like more standoffish with women? Like, do you kind of keep yourself a little closed off?
I'll talk and hang out, but if you know me in person, I'm a huge talker. I don't know. I love to talk to people because I really do like people. But with some women, I kind of just, even if it's only 5 minutes, just standing there kind of absorbing who they are and how they say stuff and how bad they judge other people. Like if I'm hanging out with somebody and they're like, oh my God, look at that chick. Ugh, blah, blah, blah. And it's like they've done nothing to them. I'm like, okay, I don't know that I want to be around this person. I hear
like that you get into fights with women when you go out sometimes.
I don't get into physical fights, but it's weird. And I know it's fine. I know that people don't believe me, but straight up, like I've been at concerts standing now. Now, granted, this could have something to do with it. I'll go into a concert in the bodysuits you call with the holes and stuff, but I'll go.
You need some new ones, sister. I'm just telling you.
I know.
You need some new ones.
Oh, I know. Well, it's hard to find. Well, it's not that hard to find, but anyway. So So I'll go to the concerts with those, and I'll wear like spandex shorts underneath it and like a bra. So my assumption is they see me dressed like that, like maybe in their opinion skankily, or they think that I'm a certain type of person, and before they say anything nice to me, they just start being a dick to me.
Well, of course they're going to judge you. That's what women do. We judge everyone. We judge everyone.
Correct.
We do.
So I'm assuming that that's what's going on. So instead of, for example, there was somebody who was trying to videotape a concert we were at, and he'd had a light on his phone. And I mean, it's getting we're really close to the stage, and security's trying to get a hold of him. He's flashing a flashlight that's coming across my face, ruining my experience and hitting the guy in the head. But the guy's not paying attention. He has no idea what's going on. He's so obsessed with videotaping this concert. I think it was Buck Cherry. And there was a chick next to him. Now it's like 85 degrees out, and she's wearing, I don't think it was real fur, but like a fur looking coat. It was crazy. So I'm trying to tap him. I'm like, hey, can you just like, you can keep videoing, but the security guy just wants you to turn the light off. I was just trying to get the damn flashlight out of my face from security. So I guess now here we are at a concert. Everybody is like this, literally. I mean, it's Buck Cherry. It's one of the first few concerts. I think this was in December. It was one of the first few concerts that people would come back to. It was packed. It was like sold out, packed. People are on top of each other. So I guess the chick was upset that I had gotten too close to her, asking if this guy could turn off his flash. So I didn't even realize that. I just went back to my spot. And she comes up to me and starts talking shit to me and getting in my face. And I'm just like, dude, I said, all I was doing was asking the guy to turn his light off. And she kept going. So I was like, okay, I can't just stand here and take it and just let her yell at me. So I told her, I was like, listen, dude, you chose to come to this concert. There's people everywhere. Everybody's all over the place. If you don't like it, I told her, you probably should go back a few rows. You're up at the front. Everybody squishes in at the front. You're on top of each other. And eventually she did move back a few rows. But it's like, I just don't understand. It's really kind of weird how many people, I got one for you. One more. We're in line to go Bank of America drive-thru, and there's 2 drive-thrus. And there's one person in each drive-thru. And this woman is mostly in the left, but kind of angling towards the right, like you're trying to be in 2 lines at the same time.
She didn't pick a lane. Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just pick the right because she's more in the left. So as I'm going in there, she's trying to like cut in front of me real quick. And I honk my horn so that she wouldn't hit me. So I I'm sitting there. I didn't even see her coming until she was at my window. She parks her car, gets out of the car. I swear to God, she's wearing a fucking shower cap. And she comes over to me and she starts, you fucking bitch, why did you honk your horn at me? Fuck you. She goes, your mother's a fucking whore. I was like, I wish she was. She'd be cooler.
People will shoot you. You know that, right? Like, people will fucking shoot you.
I know. I'm like, dude, I didn't even do anything. So I don't know. I can't tell you what it is. I can only assume what it is.
I can only assume. Let's go back to the concert thing. But I can only assume when you're dressed in like a fishnet and a bra and spandex shorts, you are there to be looked at. People are going to look at you.
Yeah.
And people are going to judge you. And people are going to, you are eliciting a reaction from people with everything that you do, whether it's on Brent's show or how you guys are in your personal lives.
Sure.
What you do is for reaction. And so how long can that model work for you guys? Like, I gotta believe that at some point you're just gonna be like, I am so sick of like fucking other people. Like, I'm just really wanting to kind of chill out and not do this shit anymore.
If that happens, we'll stop. But I don't. So I don't.
Could you go back to the real world though? Can you at this point go put
Well,
that
I
genie
mean, I'm
back
not
in the
saying-
fucking bottle and go, sell condos? I mean, like seriously, like how?
Well, if you're talking about selling condos, you actually could do that because you could work for yourself. You could just get
Well,
your
this is
license
true.
and work for yourself. But no,
And
I do
it's
think
so
I
hot
would,
right now.
yeah, I would probably have to do something where I worked for myself. I mean, I'm not gonna pretend that commercial real estate would want me to come back when I had on OnlyFans
Right.
and all that. But I'm not. Listen, I'm not opposed to working in a restaurant, driving Uber. Like none of that shit's below me or beneath me. I just want to enjoy my life with my husband, and I love the adventures that we go on together. Now, if those adventures get stale or old, then we'll always figure something out. But the thing that's always going to be a constant is we're going to be together. So if he's tired of swinging, if I'm tired of swinging, we've promised each other, then it ends right then and there. And I check in with him. I'm like, hey, you're still good with this, right? And he's like, yeah, are you still good with it? Yeah, okay, cool. Because we've been through a lot. And I know that people don't understand that. But even just telling you about how I moved with him after a year, knowing him to LA and then New York, we have been through, I'm sorry, I didn't burp on purpose. I was trying to hold it in. We've just been through a lot together. We're best friends and we spent every second together. And do we argue sometimes because of that? Yeah. But it's also not like our model as far as going out and like the way I dress. I know that being a shock jock radio and stuff like that the shocking part. But aside from everything else, if I wasn't even doing any of this, I just enjoy going out and I like the way my body looks right now. Am I going to like the way it looks in 5 years, 10 years? I don't know. So
Right.
I go out there and I would
Take
do
advantage
it.
of
I
it
would do
while
it
you can.
regardless. Yeah, I'd do it regardless, But I guess if anything, if we got tired of it, we just kind of put our heads together. We figured out everything so far. Like we figured out how to move to LA and New York and stay together, even though, can you imagine not knowing that many people? The staff on Howard Stern knew Brent from the Bubba days, had hung out with them, met them. But apparently, we didn't know this till years later, Howard decided to tell the whole staff when Brent got hired that, oh, well, Brent Hatley's coming in, so he's going to show you what a real producer does. So, like, nobody
Really?
wanted to hang out with them. They all felt threatened.
Everyone's like, well, fuck you. Exactly.
You're coming in to take my job. So the first person who invited us to anything was Ronnie. And he'd had like a little party at his house, kind of like the last one we were just discussing, but it was years before. And then people started inviting us out and
warming up to you guys.
Yeah. Like they started.
Is there anybody that you're still friends with from the show?
Oh, and Steve Brandano, he was also one of the first who started inviting us out to concerts and stuff. You said, what was the last question?
Are you still friends with people on the show?
Yeah, we are. I know that Brent texts back and forth with people. Really needed. I know. I was just about to say, I really need to do a better job of communicating with Chris Wilding because we were pretty close. We lived like really close, a few blocks from each other, basically in Jersey City. But it's one of those things, and this is what happens to me, honestly, sometimes when I leave an area, especially that many thousands of miles away, it's kind of almost like out of sight, out of mind, and it's not on purpose. It's just that everything in front of your face tends to take priority. And then the next thing you know, it's been months and you haven't talked to people. So to answer your question, I'm still friends with them, but I should communicate probably more. And I don't. But I don't really hear from them either. I think it's kind of one of those things. It's just life is happening and it just continues to go.
Somebody's asking in the chat if Wilding and Ralph were ever an item.
I tried to make them an item. I tried so hard. No, I mean, I remember we were coming back from Jason's one time in a party and there wasn't enough people for me to fit in the seat. So I offered to sit. It was like an SUV. I offered to sit in like the back area. And I was back there going, damn it, Ralph and Chris, would you just fucking make out already? And I'd like to finger myself so you guys make it out. I had been drinking. But I was joking. I was joking, but
you kind of were, but kind of not.
There you go. So, but no, they weren't. Even if Ralph went that way, if he does or doesn't.
Oh my God, if he went that way, please stop it.
But at the very least, I know for a fact that if he does, he also does like women. So, but I don't know that Chris would be Chris likes him as a friend. I don't think that Chris would be into it.
Yeah, I don't think
That's what I've
Chris is
heard.
Ralph's type, is what I think.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on ever doing a real porn? Like, do you think that's something that's in your future? Like, would you do that?
know. I don't think so. I mean, I would never say never to anything. I'm not going to say no right now. But with a real porn, I don't like the whole setup thing. I just like being able to pick, like, this is what's really going on. I pick up a camera. In the real porn thing, this is what I heard, is that it can be anywhere from 6 to 8 hours just to film one porn. And it's like, okay, now gun on this position. All right, in, out, in. I feel like it would make sex not fun. It would make it a job. And when I think about having sex, it would just be like, oh yeah, okay, now put your leg here and insert into the vagina here. And I don't know.
Okay,
Seems
come
like a
now.
lot. Yeah, right. So I'm
not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not feeling it, but again, I mean, oh, and I also heard you don't get paid that much. You get paid
No,
like
you get
a
paid
few
more
hundred
what you're
bucks.
doing than
Yeah, you get paid
they
like a
would.
few $100 for all this work, and it's like, I don't know.
So talk to me really quickly. I know Brent's right there because I can see him in the mirror. He keeps stretching his arms. So on the Brent show, and I'm taking this from a listener on the website, how the show was supposed to go down. There will be specialty shows that air on a weekly basis: Hunting the Beast, Yoga with Katelyn, Know It All Sports, and many more. These shows will be seasonal and will rotate throughout the year with other shows that are currently in development. You'll also be treated to random live content on the weekends from our staff at concerts, tailgating, pool parties, bikini beach volleyball, and much more. Until
Well, that
the launch
sounds
date,
really amazing. Where can I find all
know.
that content?
From BrentHatley.com.
No,
Until
I
the
know.
launch date, the channel will be in previews, Hunting the Beast, about serial killers, blah, 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 blah. So what happened to planning out the Twitch channel as a real channel?
So we just did not realize how much
Much
time and work with only 2 people. We were
Yes, it
so
is.
stoked. We were like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. We're going to do all this. And we're like, fuck, I don't know that we can. And then on the weekends, if we're not, having fun and partying and shooting some content, then we're taking a rest, like a very much needed rest. And I'm not saying that every single day is packed. There's some days that, we have a little bit of extra time, but
what do you do in your free time?
It's just none of. Was that?
What do you do in your free time?
Well, when I say I have like extra free time, I do try to like answer emails. Like free time when we're not working specifically on like content for the show, I try to answer emails. Brent had a meeting with Bubba yesterday. Like we'll have meetings. And then if there's a day where we just have time to do something, we might go out to eat for lunch and maybe take a couple hours or an hour and a half or something like that. But it's just so much work to do all this. He was kind of doing like a Hunting the Beast type show before we started this Twitch thing, when we were still in Jersey City, and it'd be like 30 minutes to an hour. I was working a regular job at that point, and I was spending hours getting pictures, getting backgrounds, citing stuff. Like, it's insane how much time and effort this takes. And if we could get somebody, it's just hard to find somebody that you trust. But if we could get somebody to help us out, we could actually do that. And I think we'd need a couple somebodies. And I know all that content sounds amazing, and I want to do it. And it hasn't been easy to get to.
All right. So talk to me about what you'd like to promote, what's going on in your lives, what's going to be happening going forward. Give me what you got.
So we just put out a press release about my OnlyFans, and this summer I'm going to be doing a lot more content.
I saw that. That was actually pretty fantastic.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing a lot more content this summer, and trying to get that going more. Like I said, I do want to reach out to more people who are just looking for porn, not specifically that Katelyn Hatley is doing porn. I really want to concentrate on my business a little bit more. And, I mean, Brent's as well. I guess it's all of our business, but I'd like to focus down more on it. Like I said, I don't want to take for granted that I have subscribers because of Stern and Bubba. Like, I want to make sure I'm putting forth real effort. And, with the Twitch show, I do still want to do some video, like recording stuff on the weekends. Like if we're walking around St. Pete, or if we're, I don't know, going to the beach
I mean,
or
most
something.
of these content providers are 24/7. I mean,
Yeah.
they're just constantly on air. And so this person that just has trading prowess, is porn easier to produce than radio?
It depends on how. So I don't have any videos yet that are over like 3 minutes. I don't think on OnlyFans, but that's what I'm actually going to do this summer. So it depends on how much you jump into OnlyFans, because I met a couple. They do extremely well. She's really big on OnlyFans. Her husband uses just do marketing. Now he does all her marketing. He edits her videos. He does a lot with that. So it depends on how intense you get into it. But like with Twitch, it's a little more difficult to produce because you get more hate.
What you guys would want to do on
Yeah.
Twitch.
No.
You just can't. I mean, that's just the reality of it. Your brand of show is not really a Twitch friendly thing. Like there has to be a different outlet for that to happen in order for it to be financially successful for you guys, because I feel like this isn't like a really good working model for you.
I don't think so either.
Call me crazy, but
no, you're not
I just
crazy.
think that there's other things that you can do that will you know what? And honestly, let's be honest, Brent, I know you're right there, but let's be honest. It's really going to be about you, and it's going to be about your sexuality and your ability. Chatterbait, as somebody just said, it's going to be about your ability to do what you do and make it a successful entity of your lives. I mean, at least for the next couple of years, I guess.
Yeah. No, I agree. So like, we've taken out a lot of the sex stuff, and we do the sex stuff on Patreon now, the sex talk mostly. We try to make Twitch more of like Brent's kind of almost political opinions. Not really political. He does more issue-based stuff, and like his opinions on stuff. And, a lot of our people who subscribe and the people in chat, they like it when we respond in chat and we have discussions with them on the air. And a lot of them have been with us long enough that we actually do get into some pretty good discussions. People don't always agree with me. We have a chatter, phoner 358. I like him a lot, but a lot of times he does not agree with us. In fact, he almost always takes the opposite opinion, which I fucking love, because I want to get into a back and forth about that. So we're trying to do that more so, but also like, Brent did know a little bit about engineering and that type of stuff in radio, because back in the day, he kind of had to know everything. But it's kind of tough with Twitch or with producing radio, because I haven't done that before. And there's a lot of technical things, and we end up getting technical issues because we're not computer geniuses and we don't know a lot of the stuff going on. So I get, I'm used to Bubba's show where the time, the beat, the pace is like, and so when there's like a hiccup, or if Brent takes a second, I swear to God, I get like my chest is like, oh my God. So like I feel bad, but Brent will be on air, on camera, and he's taking a second to get to the article. I'm like, what are you doing? What? There's like 2 seconds of dead air here. What's going on? And he's like, chill the fuck out.
Chill the fuck out.
So
Exactly.
I get way more stressed about because I can hear it. I get more stressed. I get stressed about dead air.
I feel like you get more stressed about
air.
Twitch than you do about yourself and about your OnlyFans and about what you do with yourself.
Way more. Way more. And it's all because this is all so new and it's so different. And I'm like panicking when we have technical difficulties, because it's like, fuck, here we go again. Katelyn and Brent are on the road and we can't fucking hear the show because they suck, because they can't figure out fucking Twitch or Patreon or whatever.
This guy engineer, he's in Florida now. He really should. I'm not even thinking that's a bad idea. I'm really not.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Maybe, but I'm not entirely sure the last few years what his role was, and I don't think he knows. I don't think he knows anything about Twitch. I think he just knows radio equipment.
You know what it is? A 14-year-old knows more about Twitch these days. I mean, let's be honest.
Absolutely.
I
Totally.
think
It's like us knowing more about our smartphones than our parents.
It's a kid's game.
Yeah.
It's a kid's game.
And
You, my friend, on the other hand, are a curious bird. And I'm really happy that we were able to do this. I'm hoping that you think that this was a good open conversation with you. I have to tell you, I think that you know, a lot of people had a lot of really, really weird questions for you. I'm definitely going to get to the hair thing because I've had more than 7 people say to me, Katelyn has to do something with her ends, and she really has to moisturize a little bit better and make her long curly hair just a little bit more luxurious, and to not do the highlights like that. Like they want you to kind of revise that.
I'm going to give you an honest answer was why I do the highlights. I'm going gray, man. So in the front, well, but it's only in the
Brent
front.
Said they like the MILF in the OnlyFans. So
but my hair is very dark underneath here. I think this is my real hair color underneath. It's very it's very dark.
That thick Italian hair. It makes sense now.
I only really get them in the front here.
Yeah.
So with the blonde, and it looks honestly in person and without this thing on my head, it does look better than on here. But I don't straighten it anymore because I don't like how it looks straight. But with the blonde, but
I think your hair looks
it would
really
be
good straight, actually.
literally just gray right here. And if I were to, I'd have to dye it like every other week because it's the baby hairs. It's not back here. It's these little tiny baby hairs.
I think it's the highlights.
Exact reason.
I'm not gonna lie. I think it's the highlights, and I think it makes you. And don't take this the wrong way because I'm not trying to be a dick right now.
All good.
But it makes you look very Florida. Like it's very like you could be a waitress at at
like a beach bar
cafe or something. Yeah, totally. But I think that you could actually upgrade that a snurch and be like fucking amazing. It's the highlights. You know what? I am going to meet you in person one day because I do live half of my life in Florida, and we're we'll chat about it in person one day, and we'll
for sure.
We'll discuss it.
I go back and forth. So when I was in New York, the reason that other than this in the front, the reason I started to do blonde was I got so white. Like I didn't realize how white I was until I moved out of Florida. Yeah. And I like the dark hair made me so pale. And it was like every flaw on my face, just in my opinion, when I looked in the mirror, seemed to really pop out at me. Now, in fairness, I chose to go get black #1 box hair dye and do it myself. So I don't know if I can really blame the color or blame me, but that was my reasoning. And then, like I said, because of the little hairs coming in front, my natural color, it would just be like a crown. And it just, I don't know that I want to keep touching it up all the time. But I've talked to my hairdresser about going darker.
I am telling you that this is something for some bizarre reason that people had a little bit of an obsession about.
Well, I think they also, so they dug up not dug up, it's on I think it's on my Instagram or something. But there's a picture of me on Reddit from back when I was working in an office in commercial real estate. I think I was like 21 at the time.
Oh, wow.
My hair's dark. It might be like a shade darker than my natural hair color because I'm like pretty dark brown, but not black. Yeah. And I think that they really liked that because they were posting something like, oh, look, she looks so sweet and everything back then. And look what Brent did to her. But and it was straight. But to be in Florida, when we moved back to Florida, I was like, there's no way I can straighten my hair all the time.
Fucking time. Absolutely not. I just needed to throw that out for Gat Girl because she's like, make sure you ask her about the fucking hair.
Sure. Well, I'm
really
glad.
Driving me crazy. So it's just a silly, silly thing I wanted to get out there to you.
Sure. Absolutely.
And yeah, that's it. That's all I got for you, sweetheart. So
I really enjoyed talking to you. Like, if you ever want to do this again, let me know. I was a little nervous, but Brent's like, no, she's cool. You'll be fine. I was like, okay. But I really enjoyed talking to you, and I'm glad that we were able to have such like a great conversation back and forth.
Totally. And I'm really appreciative that you felt comfortable to do this with me because, I didn't want to be a dick to you, but I also didn't want to lose sight of how I feel things kind of run with your show and how you approach people on a daily basis. And I just kind of feel from my own experience and from my own opinion that you could be a much better person online
I completely agree.
if you just step the fuck back from these assholes. And
I completely agree. Like I said, I might actually email you.
Viewers are assholes because they're not, and they just kind of feel like when they say something to you, you immediately like snap back at them. And I told a couple of them specifically, I was like, you know what, I'm not really going to get into it with her because I want to do much more of a bigger picture conversation with her. But it's just kind of, I just kind of feel like everybody's a good person out there, but there's a lot of trolls. And so you just got to weed out the people that really are trying to hate on you and the people that are really just kind of trying to come across as engaging with you, and just let it roll right the fuck off your shoulder. Because
it's easier when you it's easier when you hear their voice, right? Because typing, I know this, but it's still different. Like I said, all this is so new to me, but seeing something in print comes off so much more harsh than when you hear how they're actually saying it. And I'm trying to constantly remind myself of that, but I might actually email you, be like, can I ask your advice on how to handle this? Because
listen, I'm a dick,
some of your stuff when you
to.
said about how you should just take it this way and take it lightly, like you're totally right. And I've been trying to learn that and trying to just grow thicker skin, but also remind myself that they may not be saying it the way you're taking it. Like you're putting a negative view, like you're coding their comments already coming out of a negative lens, assuming that they're being an asshole. I'm not reading this going, oh, wait, maybe they're being nice. I'm literally reading it going, well, they must hate me, or at least I was. And I'm trying not to now.
Because you're immediately taking it to the negative. That's why.
Yes.
You're immediately taking it to the negative. And the last thing I'm going to say is none of them are your friends. Absolutely none of them.
I know. Well, in my defense too, because I've said to some people before, like, I thought we were friends, when I said that too, this was during the pandemic where you literally don't have friends except for online. Like we weren't talking to we weren't going anywhere. We weren't doing anything. So when you're basically hanging out with these people, it feels like all day. Our show, I think, used to be, was it 3 hours, babe?
Yeah, you guys.
It was 3 hours for a while. So it felt like these are the only people I'm seeing. So yeah, I don't want to say stupidly, but it was a silly thought that people I've never met before are friends. And I guess I don't even mean in like, oh, they're my bestie and we hang out, but just kind of like, oh, it's somebody like an acquaintance, I guess, that you maybe hang with at the bar. And that's how it felt because of the pandemic. But you're absolutely right. I went through a lot this past year trying to get used to all this stuff. So you're absolutely right. And I try to remind myself of all this.
Like Gaga's a great girl. She's a beautiful girl. Doodle is a great girl. There's people that I know, and I simply know them from my website, not in person, not in real life. But I know that they're intrinsically good people. And yeah, are there dicks? Of course there are. I too, and many people who listen to my show know that I had to file a police report against somebody because I was really concerned about whether or not they were really actually going to come after me. They knew my address. They knew, they knew everything about my home. They would take pictures and show them to me online, outside of my house. And it freaked me the fuck out. So I get that aspect of people, but you know what? He comes on here. He's on here now. He's on the chat right now. And I would never give him I would never give him the attention he craves. And I think that's my biggest takeaway from how you interact with people on your show, and to just never let them fucking see you sweat and just let it go.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I got.
Well, I appreciate the advice.
That's all I got, babe.
I'll take it.
I'll
take any advice that you're willing to give, honestly.
Email me. All right. So listen, you take care. Have a great night. And Katelyn has a website called KatelynHatley.com. And from there you can link to all of the stuff that she's on, her Twitter, her Twitch, her OnlyFans, her Instagram, etc. Correct?
Yes, correct. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. So thank you so much for coming on. I'm gonna chat with my little crew here for a few minutes, and thanks for coming on with me.
No problem. Have a
All right.
great
Have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right, there you go, guys. So yeah. Oh, I'm so antsy. All right. Well, tell me what your thoughts are, peoples. What do you think? I'm tired of looking at myself. I'm gonna shut myself off. All right, what do you think? I'd rate this interview a 7. Is that actual Brent or is that not Brent? I'm not even sure who's on here. I have to tell you, I haven't really paid attention to anything in the chat. It was just too much to do all at the same time. I couldn't do it all at the same time. So I'm sorry about that. She was sober and I like that. And I was really happy that she was. And I think, that was a great one. I was loving the pegging thing. Oh fuck, I should have asked about Sal. I'm so sorry. I didn't even really think about that. So yeah, that's it. I guess I try really hard not to be mean to people. You have to know that, right? And so you have to know that I wasn't gonna be like a dick to her, right? Because we wanted to have this conversation. I would have told her right before we started the show that I was going to have Jackhammer on. He unceremoniously canceled on me almost kind of last minute. So I was a little upset about that. And I think it would have made for an interesting conversation. And we would have been able to get into more of that kind of stern stuff and what happened with Brent in LA and things like that. But you know what? Say Olivia, it didn't happen. So there's nothing I can do about that. So what do I think, Mo? Post-interview thoughts. You know what? She was, I love that she wasn't high or hadn't been drinking because, a lot of times you guys will come on the website and you'll post things that they've done and, they're high and they're belching and dancing and doing all sorts of weird fucking shit. And I'm really, really happy I didn't get that person because it probably would have made me different towards her. I probably would have been a little bit more aggressive in terms of how I handled it. But I love that she was just, super normal and yeah, like that. And so it's not worth it to me to be mean to people like that. And but had she been like fucked up, I probably would have been different in my interviewing of her. I have no idea what's going on between Brent and Sketchy Press. I would love to get to the bottom of that. Somebody had mentioned earlier that I could moderate a debate between him and Sketchy, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know about that. Oh, hey, BonJovial. So let's thank BonJovial for that opening from today. And maybe I'll play it again. Okay, so Zelios, you're calling yourself a cyber terrorist? I don't know enough of that story. I know you guys kind of pummeled me with information today. And I didn't want to really get into that because, that's kind of a thing that you guys do on Twitch. So yeah, whatever. All right, so I'm going to BonJovial. I can't believe I don't even know if you just got in here or not, and I'm sorry if I didn't see you earlier. So I will play us out with BonJovial's opening. So for some of you who didn't get to see it, you can hear BonJovial's opening for the show. Yes, totally appreciate Katelyn hanging in there. I don't think that my no, absolutely not. I don't think that I totally lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. I don't know if Sal got fired. I have no idea about that. Maybe I can ask in private and see what happens with that. All right, so that's it. That was fun. That was good. 2 hours. I loved it. So we can swing this back around to radiogunk.com and we can talk about it there. And would love to kind of do a replay of the chat here. So I'm gonna probably go back and listen to it. And I know I fidget around a lot while I'm sitting here, and I definitely have to get better lighting. So eventually, at some point, if I'm ever going to be on for real, I'll do that. So let me play you out with the outro. And guys, have a great night. Yeah, next interview is with Reacher. Here's what he says. Woof.
So he like pushes me on the bed, lifts up my legs, and just starts eating my pussy. So when he was done, I sucked his cock and like I deep throated it. Like I sucked really hard, kind of like jerking his dick into my mouth, like beating the side of my face with the dick. Like it was all wet with my spit, so I let it kind of like slide up the side of my face so that some of the wet spit would get on my face. I really think I could have made him come just by sucking his dick, but I wanted it in my pussy. So, and then once he put his dick in my pussy, he's like, holy shit. I mean, this guy was like blown away, and he's in porn by my pussy. He said he just loved the way it felt and how I moved my pussy when I was on top of him. And I do this like maneuver where there's a spot on my pussy where if I move it a certain way, the head of the penis, while it's still in my pussy, it just kind of like has this like feeling like it's popping in and out. And you can just like feel whatever bone or groove on my pussy that's just like playing with the head, just slamming into my pussy like really fast. It's not how I would orgasm, but it felt so good, making me come. You can feel his dick kind of like moving and pulsating. So I'm at 18 orgasms since he came home. I think we fucked 15 times. The sex with him this weekend has been mind-blowing. Literally the best sex I've ever had in my fucking life.
That was amazing. This was all-encompassing of emotion, inspiration. You checked every box.
I'm gobsmacked. I'm speechless. I loved it.
This was like mesmerizing, and I think you deserve to be here more than anyone.
All I can tell you is that anyone who says they don't believe in magic, hello? I mean, come on. Everything about this was perfection, and my mind is slightly blown right now.
I'm going to just start it because I loved it. Yes.
It was super special. It's a definite yes.
I can't wait to see more of you. Yes.
Think you know what's coming? You have 4 yeses.
Coming up.
I thought it was a ridiculously good audition.
Please join us for any discussion at radiogunk.com in the forums section. Follow us on Instagram or Twitter at Radiogunk. And don't forget to like this and subscribe to us and hit that little bell so that you know when we're going to have a new show. Thanks.